There was a lot of daydreaming. There was a lot of not paying attention to things if I didn't see the point in them or if they were boring. And then when I got into high school, I started to have a lot of ideas. I started to specifically have ideas on how to sell things and how to make money. And I would always look for opportunities. And then this unfortunate thing would happen every time. I would be so excited at first because of new ideas and new shiny things and the vision for everything. And like, this is all genuine, right? I know that I can do this. I know that that's what I can do. I'm good at it. But then the dopamine would start to wear off and I would start to lose interest and I would start to lose excitement and I would get a little bit slack. And I felt so bad about myself because I'd be like, why am I like this? Why can't I just do this? Hi, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Carissa. Today we're talking about how to build $1 million business when you have ADHD, because it is something I have done myself and it can be challenging at times, our crazy brains. Now, for those of you who don't know me yet, I started a little business from home, built it into a chain of 5 beauty salons that ran without me, and then started an online coaching business and took that to $1 million in 4 years. And now I help other people to grow their businesses quickly with social media. So I didn't know I had ADHD until a couple of years ago. I started seeing a lot of videos on it on TikTok, which a lot of other people probably did too. And I was like, hey, that sounds like me. I'm going to go get checked out for this. So I did, and yes, it is me. But I always knew something was a bit off with my brain compared to other people. When I was a child, I used to daydream a lot, and common feedback that I'd get from my teachers in school was Carissa would do really well if she applied herself or focused a little bit more. And I have a 9-year-old son now who is quite similar to me. He got my brain and that's the same feedback he's getting. So I'm like, you know what, man? Yes, I know what this is like. You'll be fine. I'll help you figure it out. There was a lot of daydreaming. There was a lot of not paying attention to things if I didn't see the point in them or if they were boring. And then when I got into high school, I started to have a lot of ideas. I started to specifically have ideas on how to sell things and how to make money. And I would always look for opportunities, ways to sell things and make money. So as an example, there was one day where I was in like year 7 or year 8 or something. I was still really quite little. And I bought a lollipop before school, and it was from my local store. It had a long white stick and a little colourful lollipop on the end, and they had different colours, different flavours. And I took one to school once and everyone was like, that's the coolest lollipop I've ever seen. Can you bring me one tomorrow? How much are they? Now, they cost me 50 cents, but I said they're $2. So people started giving me $2, and then I'd get lollipops before school and take them to school and then sell them at school and make a profit. And then my dad had a CD burner and I was one of the only kids in school to have a CD burner, and people would want me to burn CDs and make mixtapes and stuff for them. And so they'd be like, oh, how much to do that? And I'd be like, oh, $5. And it was like, yeah, blanks. I'd buy a stack of blank CDs for $10 and they ended up costing me like 50 cents each or something. And then I'd sell them for $5 each. So I don't think anyone ever taught me that. That was just how my brain worked from a really young age. I also really noticed that, yeah, if something wasn't interesting to me or if I couldn't see a reason or like a purpose for it, then I just wouldn't care. So in school, I did really well at the things that I was interested in, which was like art and music and English. I liked writing, and anything else that I couldn't see like a purpose for, like science and history and maths, could have just been the teachers, I don't know, but like I just didn't care and I did not do well in those subjects. I did really well in the things that I did like. So when I left school, I went into graphic design and web design. My dad was a web designer, so I learned how to make websites when I was like 16. So I started a business doing those things. I had a job as a graphic designer and then I started a side hustle business as well, doing websites and things. Now, I would get so excited at the potential, like when a new business would come to me and I would see these visions and I'd get so excited, like, oh my God, you could have the best website, it could look like this, you could have matching business cards, we could do signage for your car, we could do stubby coolers for your clients. Like I'd just get so excited and I'd sell them in this whole like cool vision of what their business could look like, and they would get so excited too and they would buy into that and they would hire me. And then this unfortunate thing would happen every time. I would be so excited at first because of new ideas and new shiny things and the vision for everything. And like, this is all genuine, right? I know that I can do this. I know that that's what I can do. I'm good at it. But then the dopamine would start to wear off and I would start to lose interest and I would start to lose excitement and I would get a little bit slack. And I felt so bad about myself because I'd be like, why am I like this? Why can't I just do this? And then they would start be like, hey, Carissa, where's that work that you promised me? And then that would give me another little boost because I'm like, oh yeah, shit, someone's waiting for that. I better get back to it. But my brain would forget what I was doing a lot. And if something wasn't new and exciting enough for long enough, I would lose interest in it and I would get bored and then I wouldn't want to do it anymore. And so this is when when I started that first business, I started to realize all these things about myself. And I was like, oh, maybe I don't like this work. Like maybe these clients are the problem. Like sometimes we just, try and find reasons for why things are the way they are. But I felt really bad about it. And it continued to kind of be a pattern where I'd be really excited about something to start with. And then when it became repetitive or ongoing, I would just end up hating it and I wouldn't want to do it anymore. The other thing was in graphic and web design, what I found, unfortunately, and I have a lot of other friends and clients in graphic and web design as well, sometimes you get clients who are really grateful for your work and they appreciate everything, but a lot of the time you get people who are never happy with anything and want to make constant changes and nothing is ever good enough. So I found that unfortunately I had a lot of those clients because I was very underpriced at that stage as well. I didn't understand my worth at all. I was really, really cheap and I didn't know that. But I didn't think that I was worth anything more than like an hourly rate of what I was getting at a job. So I was still treating myself as though I was paid like $25 an hour or $50 an hour or something, not very much. And so I had a lot of clients who were just never happy with anything. And because I wasn't getting positive reinforcement, it made me feel really bad about myself, even though I thought my work was good and I was proud of my designs and things like that. And I was putting in genuine effort. I just felt like it was never good enough. And so then that started making me think that I was never good enough or I wasn't good enough or whatever. I also didn't really enjoy doing ongoing website work for people because it did become really repetitive and non-exciting. So that business didn't really eventuate into anything and eventually I let that go. It also wasn't making me a lot of money. But then I started a spray tanning business and this is where my successful business stories kind of take off. But we don't get there until we have sometimes a lot of other failures and lessons that we learn. So I had the idea one day to start a spray tanning business because I loved spray tans and I was getting them every week anyway. So I was like, I'll just buy my own kit and then use my graphic and web design skills to start some social media, start a website. And that was really fast paced and that was really exciting. And there was a lot of dopamine because there was a lot of new clients coming in all the time. I got to know new people. They loved my work. They loved my tans. They were excited. They wanted to come back. They wanted to tell people. So I felt really motivated and energized by that because there was a lot of new and people were happy with my work. So it was making me feel like I had a purpose and I was doing a good job. People with ADHD are often also really highly sensitive to criticism. There's a word for that. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, if you get criticized or put down or questioned a lot, like you're just hypersensitive to criticism. So, but on the other hand, I'm hyper motivated by compliments. And like if someone's like, oh, you do that really well, I'm like, amazing, thank you. Yes, I'll do more of that. So it's like, yeah. And then I learned that when I had my own business, I had so many other ideas for things I wanted to do. I wanted to use different kind of spray tan solutions and that worked. And I created variety. So then there was choice for people when they came in. I wanted to start doing hair extensions. I wanted to start doing eyelash extensions. And so there was so much freedom for me to like explore all of these other things. Now, back when I started, I didn't have children either. So I wasn't restricted by time and I had a lot of energy because I was young. So I just went all in on chasing all these different ideas. But what I noticed started to happen was some days I had so much energy and some days I had so much energy and so much motivation. I would get so much done and I would like build a whole business in a day, you know what I mean? Or like just do everything that I'm thinking about, just constantly 12-hour days, whatever. And then other days I was just flat and I was drained and I was burned out and I couldn't function. And some days it was so bad that I had to cancel the clients that I had in that day because I like couldn't get out of bed. I was like dead and drained. And I started wondering like, why am I like this? Why does this keep happening to me? Like, why can't I just do all of the things that I want to do? So I started beating myself up about it, thinking there's something wrong with me. Back in school, another thing that I realized about myself in school was that I always had, or when I was a kid, like I always had one kind of interest at a time, one special obsessive interest at a time. When I was a little girl, it was ponies and horses, and that was my only thing I was interested in, the only toy I wanted to play with. And then as I grew older, it became like, you know, a certain band that I was obsessed with, and that was like the only music I listened to, the only band that I listened to. And so in school, when there was a subject that I wasn't interested in, like I just didn't care. I was only interested in the things that I was interested in, and everything else was boring. And yeah, I'm noticing that about my 9-year-old son right now as well. So yeah, I had this realization moment where I'm like, I don't think I'm very good at like consistency. I'm really good at starting new things and having new ideas and taking action on them and like chasing the new shiny object. But as soon as it becomes like repetitive, I tend to lose motivation for it, and I don't want to do it anymore, and I want to chase this new shiny idea. So instead of seeing that as a problem, I just kind of accepted that like, well, look, that's just kind of how my brain works. And I started realizing that there were other people out there that didn't have all of the ideas that I had, but they were really good at following instructions and following a system and being told what to do. So I was like, radio, I need to find some people who are really good at following instructions and being so that I can then create something new, record myself doing it, document in step-by-steps how to do it, and then someone else can keep doing that. So I did that in my salons. I called it Create, Systemize, Delegate, Repeat. Pretty obvious. But that's how I managed to go from a home salon and then opening a physical shop, hiring 2 people, and then opening another shop, hiring 2 people, opening another shop, hiring 2 people to run it, opening another shop, hiring 2 people to run it. Some shops had 3 people. Most of them were able to run with 2. But I think the important thing to realize is I did beat myself up about it for a while, but then I also just accepted that this seems to be my pattern. This seems to be how I work. If I keep beating myself up about it, it's not going to change anything. I just need to accept that these are my strengths and these are my weaknesses. And other people have different strengths to mine and different weaknesses to mine. And so they work well together. Now, when I was hiring people, obviously I made a lot of mistakes, hired a lot of the wrong people, and had to learn this kind of the hard way because I started off by hiring people just like myself. And does that work? No, it doesn't work. You need to hire people who complement your strengths and weaknesses, not who have the same strengths and weaknesses as you, because then nobody's winning. So that led me to start researching like personality types and things like that as well. And I started to learn like what kind of people are compatible, what kind of personality types are compatible with mine and what aren't. And I learned that the hard way in relationships and things as well. When I was figuring this out about myself, I literally thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I had bipolar or something. Like, am I manic some days and then depressed other days? Because that's what it felt like. I took myself to see a psychologist and I was like, this is what's happening to me. She was like, well, look, you could be diagnosed with bipolar or ADHD or autism or any of those kind of things. And you know what? Maybe I'm a cocktail of all of the above. Spiritual people, in other labels, there's manifesting generator, of which I am. There's a Libra. There's an 1111. I'm an 11 life path in numerology. There's all these spiritual labels that explain how my brain works as well. And I can pick and choose any of them or none of them if I desire. But the thing is, this is my human. This is who I am. This is my being. This seems to be how I operate. Some people believe you can change that about yourself. Some people don't. I just see patterns. Maybe that's the autism. I see patterns of behavior in people and in myself. And I see them and I accept them for what they are. And you just got to work with them. Do you know what I mean? So when I was growing my beauty salon business, that was the choices that I had to make. I could either stay struggling myself and trying to do everything and pushing myself too hard and continuing to burn out over and over again and not believing that there was anyone that could help me, or I could open up my mind to be like, no, I actually need help. I need support. I can't do everything myself and I don't have to. And then in my coaching business, the same thing happened. So I noticed I was really good at the marketing, or I really enjoyed the marketing. So I enjoy making content. I enjoy socializing with people. I like social media. I like conversations. I like getting to know people. I'm very curious. That creates a lot of dopamine for me, having conversations with lots of different people and finding out about them. But as soon as I started coaching and having the same conversations over and over again with people, because everyone has the same problems, I started being like, oh my God, I'm really drained by this. The dopamine's worn off. What do I do? So then I started an online course because I was like, well, look, I've talked to enough people now. I know all of these different problems that everyone has and I have the solutions for them. So I'll just create a video with all of the different solutions to their problems and show them what to do. And then I don't have to repeat myself. Then I can just do the content and talking to people and trying to help them see why they need to improve these things in their business so that they can be more successful, so that they can make more money, so they can have more time, so that they can build the brand that they want, build the life that they want. But yeah, the very first thing that I started to hate when I started my coaching business was the admin side, email, customer service, following up failed payments, invoices, anything that became really repetitive and wasn't fun for me. I had to hire an assistant to take that all off my plate so that I could be the visionary, so that I could be the creator, so that I could have an idea like, oh my God, I can create a course on that. Cool. And I was excited and I'd go out there and start talking about this new course that I'm going to create that helps people solve this problem that they have. And I just gave myself full permission to like chase the dopamine, because that's either a strength or a weakness depending on how you look at it. And then I would hire people to, do the repetitive tasks and keep things going once I'd done them first and systemized them. When I had the salons, I did, spray tanning, hair extensions, lashes, but then I also started my own wholesale hair extension brand that I sold to 100 salons around the world. I had mobile services all around Australia. I had a training school and wholesale supplies. Some people would travel internationally to be trained in my hair extension method and then buy my hair extension brand from me because I'd grown such a large brand and reputation on social media, and people wanted to choose my brand for their training or their hair extensions. Some people would travel hours to come and get my method done. And that's just because I was so obsessed with building like a brand that could keep growing, because I'd get bored if things were too stagnant for too long. But I also would not have been able to explore importing or build another wholesale business or build a mobile business or build a training business if I didn't have people running the day-to-day for me. And even in my coaching business now, I had a day yesterday where I didn't get out of bed. I mean, I did for a little bit because I had my kids with me, but we also just had a kind of a blob day at home. We went for a bike ride, we went for a walk, we did get out of the house. But I was exhausted and my brain wouldn't work and I wanted to do work and I just couldn't. But because I have a team that can run everything for me on those days where I can't function, they can take over, they can do literally everything. They can't be me in the sense that they can't create the content. But I think the most important thing if you are an entrepreneur and you want to build a really successful business with this type of brain is you have to have support from people who understand how you operate and support how you operate. So everyone on my team now, they know that this is how I am. My assistant, Tamika, is amazing. She knows that I'll forget things and she has to remind me of. But I also, one other thing this is a common ADHD thing, is oppositional defiance disorder, which means that if someone tells me what to do, I don't want to do it and I'll fight against it. And that even happens if it's me telling me what to do. If I put in my calendar, do this thing at 7 a.m. tomorrow, I'm going to do everything I can to avoid doing that. And my 9-year-old son, once again, he has this too. It's really fun as a parent because they want to defy and go against everything that you tell them to do or find some way around it. And look, that can be a strength as well because it enables me to see other ways of doing things. If someone tells me this is the only way to do things, I'm like, watch me figure out another way. I'll avoid that and I'll find another way and make it work. It's like a challenge. And that gives you dopamine. So we're just fueled by dopamine. But that makes it really hard for me to stick to any sort of routine or schedule in my business as well. And I will just literally die of boredom if I have to do things at certain days and certain times. I cannot explain it, but it's literally it just hurts my soul if I have to do things at a certain day, at a certain time, repeatedly. I can't work on that kind of structure or system, even though they say we thrive on it. So what works best for me is that I have free time in my calendar every day without anything booked in, but I have a list of things that I have to get done that month. And also, if there is something that needs to be done, it needs to have a deadline. There needs to be someone waiting for it. If there's no deadline, if there's no one waiting for it, I just don't want to do it. Like I just won't do it because it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if it's done or not. Nobody cares. But if there's someone waiting for something, or if I'm like, let's say I'm going to record a new training for my clients or something, if I schedule in that I'm going to do it live at 8 p.m. on a Saturday and people are waiting for me, then I am going to show up and get that done and it's going to be amazing. Or if there's someone waiting for something like a training or an ad or a template or something that I'm going to write and I know that they're waiting, then like it will get done. If I get hired to speak at an event and I get flown around the place to speak at different events, I might be putting together the presentation the day before, the night before, and it's always good. But like I need that pressure to get things done. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. And you can either see that as a bad thing. I've had some employees and some family members and people in my life that have shamed me for that and be like, Carissa, why do you leave everything to the last minute? It's not good and whatever. I'm like, but it always is good. It always comes through. I always get it done and it's always good. But yeah, once again, you have to accept these things. You have to accept that this is the way your brain works and work with it, not against it. And don't beat yourself up about it. Don't shame yourself about it because you do have massive strengths that other people don't have. We sometimes do need a little bit more support though. So if you don't currently have an assistant or a virtual assistant or a personal assistant or someone to help organize your life and keep the consistent things going, highly recommend it. I also have a cleaner who comes once a week. I have a gardener who comes once a week because I can't maintain these repetitive things. And I see that as an investment because that takes me so much time to do those things. Like that would be 10 hours out of my week to do all my cleaning, washing, bed changing, laundry, gardening, pruning, etc. But if I pay someone to do those things, then I can make so much more money by spending that 10 hours on something more productive and fun for me. So I think, yes, to come back to the point, if you are an entrepreneur with ADHD and you want to make a lot of money and you want to build a really successful business, you have to own your strengths and own your weaknesses and accept them. If medication works for you, that's great. Go for it. Use it. I've tried medication for anxiety, for depression, for ADHD, and I have experienced bad side effects of every single thing that I've tried. So I try and self-manage with diet, hydration, exercise. It doesn't always work. Sometimes I eat foods that are bad for me and they trigger my energy and it's terrible. Sometimes I have really good self-control and I'm awesome. But I just accept that that's just how I seem to be wired in this human experience and go with it. Because what's the alternative? I will also throw in, I do have days, like yesterday when I had my day in bed, I get really emotional. I'm a very sensitive person. I get really emotional. Some days I just cry about things and beat myself up about things still. But I also accept that, like, yeah, sometimes my brain does that. Sometimes it looks for the worst in everything. Sometimes it looks for, I'm not good enough. Why can't I function properly? What's wrong with me? I should be doing this differently. I should be better than this. I feel like I'm wasting my time and wasting my life. But when you think those thoughts, it just, like when you ask yourself, whatever questions you ask your brain, it's going to answer. So if I start asking myself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why aren't I good enough at this? Why isn't anything that I'm doing working right now? Guess what answers I'm going to get? Things that make me feel shit. Because you're flawed, because of this, because this is a problem, because you ate bad food yesterday, you should know better. On those days, I usually will grab a pen and paper or talk to a friend who understands me and can help me get out of that mindset, or talk to my fiance, talk to my partner, talk to one of my assistants and just be really vulnerable and say, hey, I'm having these thoughts today. I know they're not necessarily true, but I need to, one, vent them out and get them out, or a pen and paper sometimes happens, and then they can help me by going, Carissa, no, remember you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. And then that just changes my focus to like, oh, okay, this isn't permanent. Because sometimes when you're in that moment, it feels like this is forever. This is so permanent right now. And that's why sometimes when we're high and have heaps of ideas and we think we can do everything, we make all these plans and we say we can do everything because it feels like permanent. It feels like this is how it's going to be always. And then the energy runs out and I crash and I'm like, shit, it happened again. So yeah, I don't want to make this sound like it's just easy and you should just use your strengths and own your weaknesses kind of thing, because I still have days where I get really, really low and have really self-sabotaging thoughts and not great thoughts about myself. But I also am self-aware enough, or I've learned, seen the patterns over the years to know that these things happen to me and it doesn't mean they're permanent. And when I'm low, I'll come back up. And when I'm up, I'll probably come back low. If this resonated with you, I would love to know. Please leave me a comment and tell me if you can relate to any of this. If you have any other solutions or anything that you've tried, I would love to know about them if they've helped your ADHD brain as well. Please make sure to like, follow, share, etc. if you feel like it. And if you have any other questions that you'd like me to elaborate on, come over to my Facebook group, Coffee with Carissa. Tell me about yourself, tell me about your business, ask anything in there, and I can use that for a future episode. Thank you so much for joining me. You're amazing. You can do it. You've got this. Go build an amazing business and amazing life for yourself.